Because there are other issues. So
Alright, so it's the first sort of fit up and it's revealed a couple of things. First of all, this tab, flipper tab, reaper tab as I'm calling it on this one, sticks out a wee bit too far. So in other words, I'm exaggerating it here, but it sticks out just a little bit. So what I'm going to have to do is just grind that down a little bit and then retreat this with the gum glue. I've buffed these scales a little bit, and what it's revealed is some inclusions, I suppose you call them, in this micarta that I made. And this is always what you're going to get with homemade micarta. What I'm going to attempt to do is put super glue on here in these areas and then sand it back. Okay. Now I've got to sharpen this thing. I've been waiting for my little sharpener to come in because this is really too much for the big machine, the big monster, the yellow monster. But let's have a go. So I've just cut a couple of bits of tape like that. And now I shall try and put them in here. Go with 1,000. Oh, just about. Might get away with it. So let's tighten that up properly. Let's go and let's start putting an edge on this thing. I should put springs up there in order to stop that banging when it comes down here. I've got springs. I've got 2 springs. Let's do it. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway. Stop about to there, I'd say. Oh, that's a lot better. Couple of springs. Don't know why I didn't do that before. One. It's a nice little polished edge on there. See how it cuts? Wow. Let's just clean that blade a little bit more, and then we'll go through the knife and I'll critique it. So let's just go through this knife and give you the critique on it. It's the only real way that I can improve and be honest with myself and make improvements as I go along. First of all, I'll give you the spec. What we've got here is Gunblue 1084 blade steel. It's black micarta, homemade black micarta scales, stainless steel jewelled liners, a stainless steel pivot pin with black screws, a Reaper tab, Reaper opening tab, just for the fun of it. Alright, so let's just critique this like I've done with the others. I'm up against a score out of 40. First one is the design. I think it's original, it's interesting, it's got novelty value. It was quite a level of difficulty trying to design around this shape, hence the blade shape I ended up with. But getting it to open there and closing back there without it binding in here anywhere or touching inside the back of the back spacer there is obviously a bit of a challenge, and it is very creative. So I give myself a score of 9 out of 10 for that. Functionality. Well, yes, I can open and close it with one hand. A little bit clumsy, but it can be done. Does it cut as a knife? Well, yes, it cuts. You just saw that. And I mean, pretty basic requirement, I would have thought, for a knife. It does cut. It's a bit uncomfortable, these corners. If you use this a lot, I'm sure you get a bit of a sore hand somewhere because this is square. But I'd say, yeah, it functions okay. It's a knife. It opens and closes. It cuts. That's all I really need to worry about on that one. But I do give myself 6 out of 10. So build quality. I do lose a few points here, and you know, I've noticed that I always lose a few points on build quality. So that's something I'm going to have to look out for and spend a little bit more time probably finishing things up properly. I have such a rush to get the knife done that I don't really spend the right amount of time on the finishing. So that's something I've learned. It's not 100% symmetrical. If I hold it up here, and I hate showing with bad stuff, but I think why not? Where this finishes here is not the same as here. This one's a bit higher, but it's because when I started cleaning it up and grinding it down, I just went a bit too far. It's a bit narrower than I originally planned it to be, but I lose points because of that. Now the scales, they're homemade, and although I really love the sort of micarta type finish that you get in there, I don't know if you can pick that up or not, but you see that? All those little sort of like micarta, did I say micarta? I meant Damascus. It's very similar to some Damascus steel. And I reckon if I made this again and I made the blade out of Damascus steel, I reckon that'd be an awesome looking knife. So that's something to consider for the future. But because it's homemade, I've got all these holes in it that I did attempt to clean, did attempt to fill up with super glue. You know, I'm not going to spend days and days on it. If it's something that I need to learn for another day, well then so be it. Lose points for that. The screws, I got these from AliExpress. Although they're black, if you really look closely, they're not very uniform. I could have cleaned them right off, put some gum glue on it, and then, you know, that probably would have helped. Now, using stainless steel liners is great, it don't rust, but then what's the point of that? I've got mild steel pins and I've got mild steel blade. Why am I worried about stainless steel liners? I used it, so, I mean, I had it, so I used it, so that's why. But the problem with that is now I can't gum glue it and make it all black like I really wanted it. I could make these pins black. That might help. In fact, let's have a crack at that right now. See if I can show you this process. And you wouldn't believe it, I've gone and put a stainless steel pin in that very back one. I didn't know I did that. So there you go, there's a problem there. But I think it looks, I don't know if that looks better or not. Anyway, I could do that, but I just learned that for another time. So anyway, I've lost points because of that. Didn't glue the scales on, and that's actually another bad point. The scales are just pinned and peened over. Now, I had a look at one or two of my old knives, took them apart, and that's all that they did, peen them over. But I've realised after a little while that it's okay peening something over back onto steel, because then you're going to get that pressure behind the head of the pin, and it's going to spread. With micarta it just gives, and you can't actually properly peen them over, and I didn't realise that. So although this is not glued and it is fairly solid, staying together, I've got a tiny little gap in the back here. You probably can't see, but it is half a hair width, I'd say. So, you know, I've lost points with that as well. Next time I'll definitely glue it because it does give it a lot of strength. So, you know, really, There's a few things that really could have been done a lot better, so I lose a lot of points for that. I'm only giving myself 4 or 5. I've gone with 5. The next thing is, do I like it? Well, you know, I absolutely love it. What tends to happen is the most recent knife I've built seems to be my favourite. This one, because it's a lot more interesting with the novelty value of it being coffin shape, I really like it because it was quite a challenge. It took quite a bit of effort to get this the way it looks now, even though it's not perfect. So there you go, 29 out of 40. It just helps me be honest with myself. It's a bit of fun. So we're getting close to 200 subscribers, whereupon all of those, at least those that I've got the channel details of, will go into a drawer, and then I will at random pull one out and they will win one of these knives. Now it may not be one that I've made, and probably won't, because I don't believe the build quality is really good enough to sort of give away and advertise what I do. If I give one away, it's got to be perfect. So it may just be one from my collection. Could be a liner lock or another friction folder or a lockback knife, something like that. So yeah. Once again, thanks very much, and I'll see you again very soon.